Hey, I'm Tiernan with Queerty, and I'm really excited to be joined today by author Josh Trujillo and illustrator Levi Hastings, the team behind the brand new graphic novel Washington's Gay General, The Legends and Loves of Baron von Steuben, out August 15th. Josh and Levi, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for
Thank you
having
for
us.
having us.
So, first things first, can you give us a quick breakdown of who is von Steuben and what can readers expect from this book?
Baron von Steuben was a Prussian general who came to the United States and helped the American Revolution effort. He trained our troops. He made a blue book that kind of defined what American soldiers should be like, that's still in use today. He was this larger, flamboyant, huge, dramatic character. And he was in a throuple. He was in a lot of interesting relationships over the years. And most importantly, he was now what we would call a gay guy.
There's a really fascinating section where we see the two of you as creators sort of grappling with the idea of claiming a historical figure is queer based on these pieces of evidence you have about von Steuben. And I really enjoyed that you referred to him as America's founding daddy, which viewers will have to read the book to see the context of that one. But so on that note, can you talk a little bit about the research process here, how you were able to shape the story with the information that's out there?
We wrote the book during the pandemic lockdown period. So we weren't able to visit a lot of the official sites, but I would pull up the original biographies of von Steuben written in the 1800s. And it was so interesting to kind of pull apart these old documents. And you could see like soft allusions to kind of a queer identity or a queer life. And trying to thread that in a modern context was really quite a challenge. There have been like infinite number of biographies written about this man. He's a very prominent character in military history, but it's never really been explored through a queer lens before.
Levi, how was the process of developing this historical character and this world from a visual perspective?
For me, it was a lot of fun because I got to do a lot of research into, like military uniforms from Prussia through the American Revolution. And I've always been very excited to draw men in wigs and frills. So this was like, initially part of the appeal was like, we get to draw these, fancy men in fancy clothes kissing each other. So it was really initially very fun. It became very challenging when we got to some of the more, detailed like military history stuff, like in Prussia. We dive into the 7 Years' War and the soldiers under Frederick the Great. So there was definitely, a lot of visual research that went into, the costuming and the horses and the battle scenes and things like that. I did my best, to kind of make it as readable and accurate as possible. But as with these things, I'm sure I got some details were probably wrong, and I certainly, probably, I missed, an epaulette somewhere that was supposed to be on the shoulder or something. But it was just a lot of fun to kind of like dig into this world.
Having taken such a deep dive into this character, I'm curious, what do you think his life would have looked like in a decade like 2020?
He was really kind of legacy obsessed. Status was very important to him. And I guess you kind of equate that to fame these days. So I feel like he might be an influencer.
I
I
think
could
he would be a
definitely
muscle
see
daddy on
him.
Instagram. Yeah,
Mhm.
Absolutely.
yeah. Probably selling a supplement of some kind or like a personal training regimen, I would imagine. Doing a lot of like sponsored promo things with celebrities, perhaps.
What could have been?
Once we started to contextualize it within the framework of like, why does this character matter to a modern audience? Like, what is it? Why should we care in 20 whatever about this person who, was alive 200 years ago, 250 years ago? And what does it mean to be queer 250 years ago? And why should we care now? And I think that was the question that I think really led us to pursue the project.
What really kind of helped me in contextualizing all of it was learning about these other queer figures in the same era. We look at someone like von Steuben and we think of him as being like a solo, like a monolith, right? Like a very unique, a unicorn. But if you just do a little bit of reading, you see there are more sapphic lesbian romances. There are people who kind of shrugged off their gender identity at the time. And there are even women who served in the American Revolutionary War as men.
I guess it begs the question then, has this project opened a door for the two of you? Is there more of those stories to come?
I sure hope so. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a few other characters that have sparked our interest that we're exploring. Maybe not necessarily American history, but definitely queer, sort of forgotten historical figures that people might be surprised to learn about. I definitely think we enjoy kind of unearthing those like weird esoteric pockets of history that may be a little bit prickly, maybe a little bit they're not like straightforwardly like heroic or admirable. Like I think a lot of these historical characters are, like anybody in history, like they come with a lot of other baggage that we don't necessarily, like you're not necessarily gonna get a clean slate from them. Like everybody has these like messy, complicated lives that you kind of look a little closely and you're like, oh
yeah, absolutely. And I think going forward, Levi and I are interested in telling stories about messy gays.
Yeah.
Von Steuben is a very conflicting character in a lot of ways. He's not necessarily a saintly figure in any regard, but neither were any of the founding fathers. So it's interesting to kind of see our place within history as well.
Gay rights and gay wrongs.
Mm-hmm.
We need
That's
more.
a really good way to put it. I like that. That's perfect. Yeah.
I think that's a really nice place to end. So I'll just say, Josh, Levi, thank you both so much for your time today. I can't wait for everyone to experience this book. Washington's Gay General is available August 15. Josh, Levi, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. We're very excited about it.
Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more from us at Queerty, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button.